Welcome to this week's Travelin Young and Brisket. The moment we set up the camera.
Oh, he knows.
He wants to get in his rightful place here during a yeah, buddy. Yeah.
It's like getting a treat. He does the same thing. He circles the couch and he was like, it's time to do a video.
He loves it. And so this week we're going to talk about elections because the day we're posting this video, not the day we're recording the video, it's election day in Denmark. And we got to vote.
Exactly. Yes. When you're watching this, we most likely will have voted.
Yes.
Already. So elections in Denmark, we got to vote this week on Travelin Young. All right, here we are. Let's talk about elections and in the most non-politically way possible, even though it is a political topic.
It would be very logistical.
Yes. And talking about the difference between this kind of election in America and in Denmark. And we're going to start with the whole act of campaigning.
Oh my gosh.
In America, it's funny because there was just this election recently, the very next day, Gavin Newsom said he's going to run for president. I mean, it's just these things, the campaigns last forever, years and years.
Yeah.
Now, local elections, which is what this is, wouldn't last as long, but there's not the same amount of rules around. But, I think I read that October 26th or something is the day that all the signs appeared.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, oh my gosh. That's wild.
Yeah, because there's one date. There's very strict rules about these signs. And so there's one date where they're allowed to put all the signs up and they can't put it up before, and so all the parties that day you see them putting all of them up, pushing them further and up the
I had this vision in my head it's Black Friday and everybody's for elections and everybody's racing into to a poll.
I have a vision that it's some circus act with somebody on people's shoulders to get it way I know they're pushing it up, but I want it to be somebody with a stapler really high up doing it.
And then there's also strict rules about how long they can be up.
Yeah, they had to.
Yes. Something 2 or 3 days or something after the election, they have to come down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I was funny because yesterday we were at the Christmas markets and there was a lowly one on a pole in the middle of the Christmas market.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, that person must have been that. We were
thinking ahead.
The party person. Oh, there's gonna be a Christmas market here. Let's get it on the pole right next to. That will be perfect.
Yeah.
We'll get prime
spot. Let's get it right in the middle of everything.
Yeah, exactly. And also I don't watch Danish TV, but I don't think there's the same level of TV ads like it is in the US.
I don't think there even are TV ads.
Yeah.
I mean, there's stuff on TikTok, but they're not ads. They're just the parties will talk about hey, these are some things that we find issues with, blah, blah, blah. And then in the end, so that's why this October 18th, you should vote.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, but it's not an official ad.
And the money, is not I think isn't all that money. It's there's probably I don't know this. Maybe you can tell us, but I'm making the assumption. But tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. That the money spent on campaigns here is probably defined and not just an open amount in the U.S. You can just
you can
billionaires can donate money without nobody knowing, and it's just insane.
But I've never seen a ad actual at least paid ad where it's on YouTube or on TV or anything. But maybe there's
I will say one thing I really do actually appreciate is that every day for the past couple weeks there has been a different candidate at the train station.
Oh yeah, they've been doing that,
and so it's a really nice way to. And I've seen some of the ones that for the party that I support, but you also see other ones, and so it's it's nice to actually see the candidates at the train station.
And it makes it makes a little bit more sense, here because it's a slightly smaller commune. But, going to school in Copenhagen, I see them going around and I'm like, oh, that's the guy, that's you on the sign, you're right there.
Yeah.
It's very cute.
All right. Another difference is just political parties. So counted in where we lived, there was 11 political parties.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And in the U.S., there's 2 and let's say a half. There's independents.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's
basically 2 parties.
2. And I think that's interesting because one point I want to make on this, because everybody, when we talk about elections with friends, they all talk about the two-party system in the U.S. I will say one thing is that in the U.S., coalitions are formed beforehand.
Yeah.
And then they eventually become the 2 parties. So if you follow U.S. politics, you'll see that there's a ton of, dissent amongst a party. They're not always completely aligned. And that's because different factions of people have slightly different beliefs, and they just have to align as a coalition at some point in order to have a voting bloc to make something happen. So the alignment of coalitions in the U.S. happens beforehand, and then they basically align to two parties.
Yeah.
But there's a ton of examples of where members of a single party don't vote with the party because they don't agree with something and actually might vote on the other side.
Yeah.
In which case it like messes everything up. It's not like it's always going to be just the two parties.
I wondered if it would be almost like, because we have the concept of caucuses, but maybe that's too small. But we have caucuses within the two-party system, so it's like small groups of people within a particular party for a particular, a group of people or something. So I wonder if it's kind of something similar to that.
But it's just it all happens before,
but it's all happens before.
But then they might be lobbying and negotiating in the party
exactly
in the way like you need to build coalitions and then in any government in order to have enough of a majority to actually pass laws.
So then you're just if you go with that idea, then you're basically just voting for the party that all of those caucuses kind of fall under. So could be like that.
All right. So 11 parties versus 2-ish parties. Another thing that's very different is, unlike there may be two parties, but here at the moment we would be voting for two things. I can say I've already voted actually, so I know I voted for two things. In the U.S., depending on where you live, you might vote for literally like when we were in Chicago.
You mean like two positions?
Yeah, I'm like there are two things I voted for. Like I'll talk about that detail later, but two positions, whatever. But in the U.S., there were times depending on where you live, you can vote all the way down to like county jailer, or in California there's all these like propositions you can vote for, so you can get this like long list of things that you're voting for.
Judges.
Even like when I voted, because I did like mail-in votes for the election last year in the U.S. And when I did it, it was like, the president won, great, okay. And then after that, it was just all this random stuff. So I was like, okay, next, whatever, sure.
Who are these people? I don't know who the county jailer is or some random judge. I mean, it's great. Could be like 25, 30 things you're voting for.
I had a friend who, and I'm sure, I have no doubt she still does this, but she was super into the elections. And so I could go to her and be like, okay, tell me, because we shared the same political views. So I was like, kind of, give me the rundown of who you think we should do. And she had like a whole booklet and she's like, okay, let me get it out. And she'd flip through and she knew everybody for our county, for our city, like all this stuff. But it was like, I remember one time we voted, it was like 30 different people that we had to vote for.
It's crazy. And I don't know who all of them are. So at some point you basically just vote for the party, or the party that they're a part of.
Yeah.
Now, on to the day of voting itself. So you guys haven't voted yet because
we have not.
In our timeline, Tuesday isn't here yet. And you will just go to the local school actually and vote there.
Yeah.
Exactly like it is in the US.
Yeah.
You go to the local school, you're assigned to a school, and that's just kind of how it is.
Yeah.
But the day of, if you vote ahead of time, which I can talk about having just done that in Denmark, I went to the commune hall or whatever. And this is where it's interesting because I can talk about the process a little bit. I assume this process is somewhat similar even on the day of voting. There's probably just some slight differences. So we got our voter card.
In the mail.
In the mail.
And I went to the place with my card. They scanned it. I verified that it was me. They gave me 2 envelopes because, as mentioned earlier, I was voting for 2 different like local.
Well, there's like a regional one and then a commune one.
And they gave me 2 cards and 2 envelopes. And they were different colors, so I can easily know what the difference was. And then I went into a little booth that looks exactly like a booth in America, except I'm physically writing this. Versus in all the places recently, we had like a machine thing where we pressed a button onto something that would come on the machine. Which is funny because like in the US, they're all run locally. And so all the machines, depending on where you live, might be totally different because it's what they locally contract for managing it versus it being like. So anyway, I go in and I write it. And this was interesting because I had 3 things I could write. I can either write the letter because each party has a letter. Each political party has a letter like
that's
B
like their
and
symbol.
U and V, right?
Yeah.
All these different letters. Or you can write the name of the party, or you can write the name of a person. Yeah. One of those 3 will indicate what you're voting for. I just wrote the letter for the party, made it easy. I did that on the 2 different envelopes. I put my things in the envelope. I sealed the envelope. I came outside. I'm guessing that part is basically the same. I'm guessing it's still paper. You'll probably do that.
Yeah.
And then, but I gave it to somebody who then wrote it was like, she had this thing. She knew who I was because there was a different person that I guess when I scanned my thing, they knew I'd come. They printed this thing. I signed a thing saying, I voted for these two, and I signed it to say I was in private. Nobody bothered me. I was on my own. And then she kind of like notarized it in a way.
Yeah.
That she would witness that is true. They folded that up with my 2 envelopes in the piece of paper. Then they stuck it in another envelope, sealed it, and then mine's getting mailed off.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's like mail-in balloting, but it's still
in person.
It's in person.
Yeah.
So somebody validates everything was right. And then they mail it, and they actually put it in this huge like trash can that I guess is just full of all the things you're gonna mail. And I think that you could actually do that. I did it in my commune, but I think I could actually do it in a variety of places because they're mailing it. I don't think it matters that I'm necessarily in my own place.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think there's flexibility ahead of time.
Yeah.
Day of, different story.
Yeah.
But ahead of time because they're mailing it anyway. I think, and that's why the advanced stuff I had to do it by Friday. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, you cannot do it. And that's probably because they're facilitating getting all the ballots to the local places if it didn't originate, if you didn't vote.
Because you won't be around on election day.
Well, I did it early. I won't be here. I'll be in Paris for work on Tuesday. So I did it ahead of time. So that was my process. And it's the difference between that and the US now is in the US ahead of time, we voted, let's say when we lived there.
Yeah.
I voted ahead of time at a police station / city hall in Brookfield. So I don't know if it was there because it was the police station or because it was City Hall, but we went, that's where it was one and the same building. And I went in ahead of time and I voted in the machine and all that stuff beforehand.
It was the same.
But it was a machine in a private space.
Yeah.
I can't really say that much of voting in the U.S. because I've never voted
You
in
never
the
voted
US.
in we only did absentee, right?
Yeah, well, last year was my first time I could vote in the U.S.
Yeah.
And so obviously it was a mail-in ballot. But yeah, so I don't have much to say about that.
Yeah, was that like a little bit of a letdown that your very first time that you got to vote was the janky, absentee mail-in voting?
And let's just say, by the way, we have a whole video.
Oh yeah, we do.
From the 2020 election.
About what it was like.
About what it's like to do mail-in balloting over from another country.
Which probably is not
so I'll link to that so you can see.
And that's why I said it's janky because it's a bit of like arts and crafts project to do our voting.
I don't know if I would say it was like lame. I don't know how many young people are necessarily super excited to go into a place and vote. I don't know how many people were like, oh my gosh, yes, I get to write on a machine, yes. Yeah. I guess I could have. The only thing I always get jealous of people in the U.S. that get the super cool "I voted" stickers.
Yeah,
that's the only thing. Maybe there's a Danish version of that.
They didn't give me one.
No. Okay. Well, then I guess I won't get one.
Maybe they do it on election day, but
yeah. I don't know. I will say I was thinking about this today that I'm actually super excited to get to vote. Like I'm very excited to be able to do this.
Well, I just meant in the U.S. It's not that exciting, I know. But of course, here I'm very excited. But it's also because. We've been here for 7 years now, and I'm very excited that this is the first time when I get the chance to vote. Yeah. So I'm really excited to, finally use my voice. Democracy.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll say a couple things, which is I think this method of mail-in voting was good. It was secure because I still went somewhere. And somebody validated everything.
And you could start doing it
I could have done it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And
the period's long.
I'm pretty sure, I didn't need this, but when I was looking on the commune website, I'm pretty sure if you are unable to go there, somebody will come to you to also basically facilitate the same process. If you're physically disabled.
Like if you can't
I saw this. I read about that. Yeah.
So I think they'll come to you if they'll do that ahead of time. And that's part of the mail-in voting process. If somebody would come to that. I feel
like they don't have that in America.
No, they definitely don't. But if you wanted to, maybe in some places, because again, voting is very regional. There might be some places that do. It's not consistent everywhere. But that is a good solution to, one of the reasons why people do mail-in voting, especially during COVID, was they didn't feel comfortable going to a place. Yeah. Or they can't physically go there. But to allow everybody to vote, having people come to you and scheduling a time for them to come to you and go through that exact same process, just in the privacy of your home.
Yeah.
And there's somebody that basically validates with their name that you were there alone and everything.
Did you have
vote
to
privately.
Do anything to like justify why you were voting early?
No.
Okay.
I
mean, you can vote early for any reason. The at-home thing is like if you're sick or something.
Now, maybe you would in that case, but
I mean, it's the same as the U.S. You can vote early for any reason.
That's true.
I think some places mail-in voting might require something if you're doing it over the mail
that's why
versus
I was
if you go.
Yeah,
I guess
you have to give a reason why you weren't able to vote in person.
Well, yeah, in person maybe.
Yeah.
It's very complicated in the U.S. because it's not the same.
It's not the
That's
same.
the most important
It also
part.
gets more complicated. It's far more complicated if you're just mail-in voting versus like mail-in voting from another country. Then there's like all these crazy options. But
But the thing is, to remember is it's different in every state.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is why it's complicated.
Yeah.
And I've only voted in Virginia, Tennessee, and Chicago, or Illinois.
Yeah.
And then I've only voted from Denmark in Illinois, because that's the last place we lived before we moved here.
Yeah.
And the way we vote from here would be very different if we lived in Montana versus Illinois. And some of them might have rules that say you need to say the reason why you're voting through the mail. Some might not. The rules are different everywhere. But what's nice here is it's all consistent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I like basically the security. If you cannot physically be there, they provide an option.
That's
and I
really
think
nice.
actually going and doing this mail-in that way in person with like weeks and weeks on weekends and everything that you can go do gives you tons of options to go there.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic. And the fact is, I think you can also go to a place if you're in Denmark, maybe not even your home commune, doing it in advance. So you got a lot of options.
Yeah.
And I like
That's
that.
super
I think
cool.
having options is
Very
fantastic.
accessible.
Yeah.
Democracy should be accessible.
It should
Yes,
be,
it should.
exactly. So the last thing I was going to say real fast is one key difference is like I was able to vote for a party, just the letter of the party. In America, you never vote for the party. You always vote for the person. Now you know the party that the person's in. It says it on the
say
ballot.
like their name and then like
And
D or R.
Or
like,
independent, or
or
if you happen to be in a place that has some random Rastafarian party or something.
You can also write random people.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's.
But the point is, there's no option to just say D or R.
Yeah.
Like there is here, where you can say the
Oh,
letter of the party. You're always voting specifically for a person, not a party in that case. So that was, I don't know if there's anything else you guys want to add. That was all I was going to say.
But I'm excited to vote.
Yeah.
I'm excited that I did vote already. I went there and I was like, there was no line. It was super easy. It literally took me like 5 minutes max.
Yeah.
And most of that was them explaining to me, because I had questions to make sure I did everything right.
Yeah.
You know? When I was leaving, there was a line forming because it was the last day you could do it.
Yeah.
So it must have been.
And hey, maybe one day in a very long time we'll be able to make a part 2 where we vote in the Folketing
as well as the EU elections too.
Oh yeah, exactly. We'll get that too in a long time.
And I will say, speaking of creating coalitions, we won't say what parties, but I find it interesting that each of us are 3 different parties.
Yeah.
Well, there's 11
had a
to choose
short
from.
There are a lot to choose from. Yes, a lot of nuances.
We all each fall under 3 different parties.
And I've seen recently more and more discussion around internationals getting more and more represented. So I saw some, probably because we're in the middle of an election cycle, but I saw some stuff online where they're trying to create like communities for people that are international voting and making sure they have rights. That's interesting. I might try to get more involved in that.
This is another small thing to add, actually. One of the political parties had some of their posters. Usually the posters will either have a picture of the person or like some saying or whatever. But this one party had their posters were sayings, but they were in different languages.
Oh.
They were in like Polish and Arabic and English.
Yeah,
that was really cool. So
just going around the city.
All right.
So,
well, there you go. We hope that all of you have either gone out to vote already or will be going to vote. Participate in democracy.
Exactly.
It is one of the most important things that we can do. And I'm glad that we can now do it in a place that we pay a lot of taxes and we're part of the society, and now we can actually vote.
We are
excited. A little bit of a say.
I was excited to do it. You're excited to do it in a couple days, and hopefully everybody here has done it. And let us know if you have any interesting comments about voting or whatever. Let us know if we missed something.
Yeah.
Also, maybe like what it's like in Yulin, because then everything's kind of more spread out. I mean, that'd be interesting to find out.
You probably need a car to get there, I'm guessing.
Probably. Yes.
All right. Well, we're going to end it at that. Thank you so much, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.